CommonSense. O ye that love mankind, ye that dare oppose not only the tyranny, but the tyrant, stand forth. Every spot of the old world is overrun with oppression. Freedom has been hunted around the globe. Asia and Africa have long expelled her. Europe regards her like a stranger, and England has given her warning to depart. Oh, receive the fugitive and preparing time as asylum for mankind. Of the present ability of America, with some miscellaneous reflections. I have never met with a man, either in England or America, who has not confessed his opinion that the separation between the countries would take place one time or other, and there is no instance in which we have shown less judgment than in endeavoring to describe what we call the ripeness or fitness of the continent for independence. As all men allow the major and vary only in the opinion of the time, let us, in order to remove mistakes, take a general survey of things and endeavor, if possible, to find out the very time. But we need not go far, the inquiry ceases at once, for the time has found us. The general concurrence, the glorious union of all things proves the fact. It is not in numbers, but in unity that our great strength lies. Yet, our present numbers are sufficient to repel the force of all the world. The continent had, at this time, the largest body of armed and disciplined men of any power under heaven, and it just arrived at the pitch of strength in which no single colony is able to support itself, and the whole, when united, can accomplish the matter, and either more or less than this must be fatal in its effect. Our land force is already sufficient, and as naval affairs, we cannot be insensible that Britain would never suffer an American man of war to be built while the content remained in her hands. Wherefore, we should be no fonder as 100 years hence in that branch than we are now. But the truth is, we should be less so, because the timber of the country is every day diminishing, and that which will remain at last will be far off and difficult to procure. Were the continent crowded with inhabitants, whose sufferings under the present circumstances would be intolerable, the more seaport towns we had, the more should we have both to defend and to lose. Our present numbers are so happily proportioned to our wants that no man need be idle. The diminution of trade affords an army, and the necessities of an army create a new trade. Debts we have none, and whatever we may contract on this account will serve as a glorious memento of our virtue. Can we but leave posterity with their settled form of government, an independent constitution of its own, the purchase at any price will be cheap. But to expend millions for the sake of getting a few vile acts repealed and rooting the present ministry only is unworthy the charge, and is using posterity with the utmost cruelty, because it is leaving them the great work to do, and the debt upon their backs from which they derive no advantage. Such a thought is unworthy a man of honor, and in the true characteristics of a narrow heart and a penetrating politician, the debt we may contract does not deserve our regard if the work be but accomplished. No nation ought to be without a debt. A national debt is a national bond, and when it bears no interest, is in no case a grievance. Britain is oppressed with a debt of upwards of 140 million sterling, for which she pays upwards of 4 million interest. and as a compensation for her debt, she has a large navy. America is without the debt and without the navy. Yet, for the 20th part of the English national debt, could have a navy as large again. The navy of England is not worth at this time more than 3.5 million sterling. To the representatives of the Religious Society of the people called Quakers, or to so many of them as were concerned in publishing a large piece entitled The Ancient Testimony and Principles of the People called Quakers, renewed with the respect to the king and government, and touching the Cmmotions now prevailing in these and other parts of America, addressed to the people in general. The writer of this is one of those few who never dishonors religion, either by ridiculing or cavilling at any denomination whatsoever. To God and not to man are all men accountable on the score of religion. Wherefore, this epistle is not so probably addressed to you as a religious, but as a political body dabbling in matters which is the professed quietude of your principles instruct you not to meddle with, as you have, without the proper authority for so doing. Put yourselves in the place of the whole body of the Quakers. So, the writer of this, in order to be on equal rank with yourselves, is under the necessity of putting himself in the place of all those who approve the very writings and principles against which your testimony is directed. And he has chosen this singular situation in order that you might discover in him that presumption of character which you cannot see in yourselves. For neither he nor you can have any claim or title to political representation. When men have departed from the right way, it is no wonder that they stumble and fall. And it is evident from the manner in which ye have managed your testimony that politics as a religious body of men is not your proper work. For however well adapted it might appear to you, it is nevertheless a jumble of good and bad put unwisely together, and the conclusion drawn therefrom both unnatural and unjust. The 2 first pages and the whole doth not make 4. We give you credit for and expect the same civility from you, because the love and desire of peace is not confined to Quakeries. It is natural as well, the religious wish of all denominations of men. And on this ground, as men laboring to establish an independent constitution of our own, do we exceed all others in our hope and aim. Our plan is peace forever. We are tired of contention with Britain and can see no real end to it, but in a final separation. We act consistently because for the sake of introducing an endless and uninterrupted peace, do we bear the evils and burdens of the present day. We are endeavoring, and we steadily continue to endeavor, to separate and dissolve a connection which has already filled our land with blood, and which, while the name of it remains, with the fatal cause of future mischiefs to both countries. We fight neither for revenge nor conquest, neither from pride nor passion. We are not insulting the world with their fleets and armies, not ravaging the globe for plunder. Beneath the shade of our own vines are we attacked. In our own houses and on our own lands is the violence committed against us. We view our enemies in the character of highwaymen and housebreakers, and having no defense for ourselves in the civil law, are obliged to punish them by the military one. and apply the sword in the very case where you have before. Now apply the halter. Perhaps we fear for the ruined and insulted sufferers in all and every part of the continent, with a degree of tenderness which hath not yet made its way into some of your bosoms.